Take 100.
And one. Leave her alone.
Leave me alone.
We're casting pods.
This is our very first Station Salon podcast. And I don't even know if I'm supposed to look at a camera on a podcast. Am I supposed to look at you or the camera?
I haven't stopped looking at the camera, so I don't know.
We're amateurs at this, okay? So I guess I'll look a little bit like the camera and a little bit at you, and we'll just,
it's gonna
bear with us. Of this podcast is for fun. One, mostly. I own 2 salons, and my stylists are incredibly interesting.
Yeah, I actually I get to work at both of the salons, which is pretty cool. It's really rad. The newest salon just opened in July, and we're just hitting the ground running. It's been really rad, and I've been loving being able to be so close to home, but still get a little flavor of Tampa as well.
Yeah, the 2 cities is super cool, right?
Yeah.
That's what I love, having the balance of the 2 cities, because there's Tampa, where, for anyone who doesn't know, Tampa is let's call Tampa the bougier city.
It's also in bustle. It's just a different pace in general.
Different pace. We love Tampa. We love the people in Tampa. It's just so different we both live in St. Pete. So,
the better side.
We can tell the difference between the 2 cities. St. Pete's just a little bit more chill, a little bit more gritty, I don't know, and Tampa's more put together.
A little bit more polished. Yeah,
more
for sure.
Polished.
For sure.
But the tale of 2 cities is great, and wanted to add the feel between the 2 places, because as different as they are, there's so many people like Mark and I that love both cities. So, finished talking. I just had to insert some Tampa St. Pete stuff there.
No, I mean, that's it. The concept that we have at the shop is really cool. It's very unique, I feel like. It's something that's been missing in the industry in a way, where you can still be an independent stylist but work in a collective space and be able to be around different people who are awesome and who have also been in the industry a long time but want to kind of work for themselves and be creative and have the freedom to be able to make their own schedule, set their own prices. And
so some people who might watch this might not know what a booth rental salon is. So we might need to explain that.
True concept. Yeah. So essentially, booth rent is you pay
like a rent,
like a landlord.
You're like a landlord. I'm a madame.
I pay her monthly, or else she comes looking for the money.
I'm like Pearl from that Will Ferrell skit.
Yeah.
Give me my money.
Yeah. Exactly. But you essentially pay rent. You get to kind of set your prices, set your services, and it allows you to be creatively
independent,
free, and not be so tied to a system that may not work entirely for you or your clientele.
Yeah, we're kind of debunking the hair system, I guess, a little bit with that. And nothing wrong with full-on salons. Those are great to learn and to build at, and you have to start somewhere. It's better to start in places like that. But the booth rental approach is, weirdly enough, in Tampa, it's taken over so much salons with booth rental within a salon. But in St. Pete, I think there's only 2 or 3 of us.
Yeah,
I might actually be the only one, other than maybe Salon Vintage down the street.
Yeah, there's not too many concepts that are like that, unless it's maybe it's a smaller
a suite.
Yeah.
St. Pete has suites, but they don't have an actual salon where it's a bunch of Mark, I wanted to sit all of you guys down and have the chance to ask me some random questions.
Oh man,
I didn't prepare you for that.
No, you did not. I didn't even have time to think about questions.
I wanted it to be kind of off I didn't want you to think about it. I kind of wanted it to be a real answer.
Do you want them specific to our industry, to anything?
I think you can ask me a question in our industry first, and then we're like squirrels. Topics just kind of always kind of come from other topics. Yeah. So
what?
I'm putting myself in the hot seat with everyone.
I mean, I've never asked you this question. What got you into the industry, I guess?
So good question. I've lived a lot of lives. I tell people that all the time. I have like a lot of lives.
Yes.
And I was, okay, let's see. When I got into the industry originally, I was 15.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, wow.
It's been a hot minute. So I'm from Pittsburgh, and there's this really cool, actually, it probably wasn't really cool. It was in a strip mall. At the time.
I mean, malls were really cool.
This is
At
a
one
long
point, the
time
mall was
ago.
where you went for everything.
Yeah,
Clothes, social life, movies, so...
And the biggest salon I would say in my town of Wexford. So, the Wex for all my Wexford people.
Is that the Wex Flex?
This is the Wex Flex. Like, if you're from Wexford, you know this. If you're not, you don't know about it. Which is ironic because Mark worked for a company called Wexford, which is like, we're not going to get into that, but that is the town I am from. So there's this place. It's a really big salon, and it was in a strip mall. And my parents raised me with. I was the middle child.
Okay.
I was the forgotten child.
You were a shadow?
The forgotten child. So it kind of was, and I liked all the things, and I was always wanting to go shopping or buy things. So I came a time when I wanted to do my hair, and my parents were like, we're not paying for you to get your hair done. It's not going to happen. So I lived the life of the caps. Do you know what the caps are?
Yeah. Where you pull them through,
and I was straight up tiger striped.
Like crochet your hair, basically.
My mom did it, and she messed it up. I have really thick, coarse hair, and she messed it up, and was forced to bring me to the hair salon in the strip mall.
Yes.
And actually, Above All is what it's called, and it is still a salon today, which is wild.
What?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And one of the girls that I trained under, I started there as an assistant at 15. She still works there and is like killing it, which is...
That's amazing.
It's kind of wild, and I'm going to call her up and get her on this podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really about, I don't like people telling me no, so I figure out a way to get something. It's not, oh, I can't have that. It's how do I get it?
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I want my hair done. I can't afford it. I'm going to work there.
Yeah. I'll figure it out.
And I started working there as an assistant. They put me on as an assistant. They needed help really badly, and I'm not going to lie, I hated it. I hated it, but I loved getting my hair done for free.
Yeah.
And it was the payoff. At the time, I had 3 jobs, which is a pattern in my life because I always have multiple jobs. Mm-hmm. And then I left that and went to college for graphic design. And there's a million other stories in the middle of that, but to make it short, went to college for graphic design. I moved to Tampa. Well, my parents abruptly moved to Tampa. My grandparents died. My dad sold his company, moved here, and while I was in college, my ex-fiance's sister-in-law owned a salon in a salon school. And at the time I was like, oh no, I want to have kids and I don't like people telling me when I need to work. So I was like, I'm going to go to hair school. And then I moved down to Tampa and I worked at a salon down here, almost quit because I was like, this is a really, really hard industry. And I mean, you can mark on that.
I can attest to it, yeah.
I mean, my first year doing hair, I made $11,000.
Oh, wow.
And lived off lean cuisines and don't know how I survived.
Yeah, I totally get it.
I just don't know, and I just almost quit. And I was doing photography at the time because that was part of what I went to school for, and really killing it. And I met the owner of Mint. I'll give her a splash here, and she was like, "Oh, you should do booth rent." And I went over and did booth rent, and it changed my life. And here I am now with 2 salons.
All the stories.
In my life of I don't know, page 20 of all the lives of Abby.
That's awesome. kind of funny because our stories are
Parallel?
flip-flopped. I went to college for graphic design and then ended up going to hair school after. Yeah.
Well, we both went to college for graphic design and
Yeah.
we didn't know that?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, you may have. You probably finished. I got really close, and then I was like, "No, this kind of
I
the same."
didn't finish.
Like, I don't like when people are telling me I have to do things,
No,
and I thought that having to take additional classes and pay money to do underwater basket weaving to get a degree was stupid.
It was retarded.
It was dumb. So
I was more of another super side funny note about college, and I don't think they do this anymore, but they might still do this. I took this class on how to cheat on college tests.
This feels like it's from the movie Accepted. Like, they just, like, made up the class. They're like, we're holding a class for cheating.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think they technically called it that. I think it was more of, so I'm probably like you where I'm more visual.
Yes.
And it was basically a way, if you didn't know an answer to, like, SAT courses and stuff, how to go about answering.
I think it took something like this.
Yeah,
you almost like cheat.
Like patterns.
You're not cheating the system, but you can understand and like.
Yeah.
You can
patterns.
Work your way through the problem without having to just like sit there and be focused on one.
No, it was more like there's more C's on the test than B's type thing, and so I memorized the patterns. And when I went to college and took my introductory course, like, you have to take these tests to place you, and I just filled in the bubbles. I didn't even read anything, not one thing, and I passed out of my freshman year and ended up on the dean's list filling in bubbles.
It's like when I showed up for hair school with my like Ticonderoga pencils and my like black and white marble notebook, and they're like, here's your books, and it was an iPad, and I was like, oh, everything's on here, and they're like, yep, and I'm like, I don't need any of this other stuff, and they're like, nope, the technology has changed at all, we don't even have that anymore.
I am clearly older than Mark because there was no iPads when I was at college. But yeah, funny tidbit of, I mean, people got away with everything in the 90s. Like, literally everything. Your way into hair.
My way in?
You
actually,
went to school for graphics, which we learned about it.
Went to school for several semesters at University of North Florida, and then came back home. Went to SBC and was really close to getting my AA, and I was like, this is dumb. I hate it. I had a really good job in retail. It led me to meeting my wife, which was awesome. And then
she'd be actually so proud of me. I'm going to throw out another label right now. I am wearing the Vans brand. Vans.
All Vans style today.
I also have on my Vans.
Fitted.
We are big Vans people over here.
Vans family,
big
for
Vans.
sure.
I feel like it's just, you're seeing my side. It's just not sure it's the great look for me.
I was working in retail, and this guy came in. I was working in Lakeland. This guy came in and dropped off business cards and was like, "Hey, if you wouldn't mind giving these out, I would love to cut anyone's hair who's here. I'm like trying to grow my business." I was like, "That's cool."
Yeah.
So I put him in the back, and as he was leaving, I had long hair, and he's like, "Dude, if you ever want a haircut and you want to like ditch the surfer for Dapper, let me know." And I'm like, "Get out of here!
Surfer for Dapper.
Quit trying to cut my hair, dude." And I took him up on it, and it was the first time I had ever been to a barbershop in 24 years of being on the planet. I used to like just walk into my mom's salon and
Wait, your mom owned a salon?
No.
Oh.
Like the salon that my mom used to go to.
Oh, okay.
I would like walk into that shop,
okay.
and her stylist would do like a dry cut on me for $10, and I had never had like a proper haircut. And this guy took my hair from long to short, and I felt like I was at a spa, and it was like it was a great experience.
Yeah.
And I had known for a little while that Tracy was going to get promoted. And she was going to be in a district role.
So you were with Tracy when you went to barbering school, or did you do hair school?
I did cosmetology school. Yeah. So
Mark is a barber. That's why I asked that question.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't know anything about my stylist.
No, she knows it all. But yeah, I was just like blown away by it. I knew that Tracy was going to get promoted. We were going to be moving. I wasn't going to have like employment. And I thought that that would be a really cool way to make money, to pick up and leave if need be, to be able to like be supportive wherever her job kind of took us, but I could still just work wherever.
Yeah.
And I had that idea that day, and naturally I just didn't tell anyone about it and kept it a secret for like close to a year.
Okay.
And we just happened to be in a bar New Year's Eve night. Her sister came to visit us in Indianapolis, and she was changing her career. And I thought that was really cool. It was super brave. She was like mid-30s, like, I'm just going to start over. I'm going to do something, go in a different direction. And I was like, that's so cool. I want to do that. So like 2 bars later, it's like almost closing time, and they're having a conversation. And I'm like, I want to go to barber school. And I just like blurted it out in the middle of their conversation. They both looked at me like,
wait, what?
What? We're not even talking about that. You want to do what? And like once the dust settled, they were like, that would be so cool. You should do that. You'd be so good.
Oh my God, I love that.
And ended up, once we lived right outside of Chicago, we started looking at schools, and I went and visited the Paul Mitchell School of Chicago, and it was like,
that was it.
Yeah, from there I was hooked.
Oh
So
God,
didn't
and it was
even
in
like
Chicago.
didn't even have really like a love for hair. I just saw this as a really cool, awesome industry, and I loved like the fact that I can make people feel the way that I felt that first time at a barbershop.
Yeah, that is like what's really cool about our job.
And I just like zeroed in on it. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. I always wanted to be like creative. I basically get to do graphic design just like on someone's head all day, you know, like we're creating shapes.
You are like creating things for
so
sure.
It's an outlet. It fills my cup. I get to fill others. So it was just like kind of a no-brainer, and I didn't look back after that.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
I love that. And I actually didn't know that you were living in Chicago for a while.
Yeah, we lived in Lakeland for an amazing year. Tracy was driving from Lakeland to Orlando, and I was driving from Lakeland to Tampa. And then I transferred to the Tilly's store in Lakeland, and from there we got engaged in Lakeland. We moved away to Indianapolis. We lived in Indy for about a year and a half. I got out of retail at that point. I was like, I'll do anything. I'll get 7 jobs. Just let me out of retail.
I don't know if you know that I had a retail store.
What?
in my
all the stories.
In my life of life, I don't know, page 20 of All the Lives of Abby. I when I got my first commercial space, which is a whole another topic for a whole another day. I should write that one down. Commercial spaces. It was like this old little bungalow, and it had this whole side section, which later became like once I was out of the building, like a drug sleeping place, because it was like kind of like a secondary and it was on Howard Avenue, and there's like a lot of Howard Avenue is a bar. It's a street with bars, and that was where the space was. But I was like, what am I going to do with this space that I'm paying for? So I was like, you know what? I'm obsessed with fashion. I'm obsessed with clothes. I am going to do a store. And I don't know why I felt I needed to open up a store, because after I opened up the store, I hate fashion, and I could care less about it.
You probably enjoyed like the design of it and like the merchandising.
I used to be really trendy, Mark. I used to have like a really good sense of style, and not that I don't anymore.
I can still see it. Come on now.
It's just not as crazy as I used to be. So, and I'm a mom now, and my clothes have to be more functional versus fashionable, because I am also a handyman. When you have 2 salons, all you do all day is fix shit.
She wears hats, different hats constantly.
So, my little, trendy wear isn't the best for around the salon anymore, like it used to be, because someone always needs me to hang something. Or the other day I was taking down an exit sign with electrical. I was like, I am not an electrician. But so I had the store. It was actually called The Store.
That's perfect.
Because my name's The Station, The Store. But yeah, and I hated it. I hated every minute of it, and I abruptly closed it one day. I walked in and I go, I'm not doing this anymore. And
just fed up with it.
I had about maybe $40,000 to $50,000 worth of merchandise in the building, and I was like, I would rather just give this away and be in debt than sell one more piece of clothing.
Then have to try and find a home for individual item.
At the time I was doing it's funny though, because the people who shopped at the store they still come into the salon too, a lot of them.
Really?
They still wear things from the store because it was like ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Because I was working in LA and San Francisco at the time.
Okay.
And so I was getting all of these like inspirations. In Tampa, it was just like so slow on fashions for a while. I say we're definitely getting better.
We are. Yeah.
Like we're with everyone moving here now, we're actually the number one place to move to.
St. Pete's it just got like the number one mid-sized to small city, and then
Something
Tampa's
like
just exploding.
It's insane how it's changed over the years. But yeah, so they still wear those clothes. So I had something going on because I was all about sustainability. I didn't want garbage in the store.
Yeah.
But I had a process of small, medium, and large. That was it. That was going to be in there. But the problem with that, which we learned, is when you don't have the small or the medium, people just go straight to online. And online shopping Amazon was blowing up at that time. I mean, this was 2014.
Yeah.
So it was like getting like really big, and everyone was just like, well, I'll just go get it online. And I'm like, oh my God, it's amazing how people hate small business. It like opened up my eyes to the world that nobody cares about small business owners. And it's so much harder than people think. And I was just like, I literally donated every single piece of clothing in the store and worked my ass off to pay it off.
Yeah.
And was just like, I'm done with this portion of my life.
That's it. That chapter was closed.
It's closed. And she's not coming back.
Glad I did it, but
I wish I would have known you and Tracy at the time. I could have had Tracy run the store.
Yeah.
Again, Tracy's his wife. So for people being like, who is Tracy?
Who's Tracy? I can tell you.